I was hired not to be a representative of what is, but to be sensitive to the needs of the industry and lead from the future tense to take care of what needs to be.
John Annaloro took the reins of the Washington Credit Union League in 1997 and never let go, leading with both a big vision and a big heart. He's considered a thought leader and visionary who could see through walls and break them down. He is a leader who walks his talk.
John is a true visionary. He truly can look at something and say, here's where we want to be 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future.
He saw the future, it seemed, minutes after coming to Washington from a senior level management position with the California-Nevada Credit Union Leagues. The future he saw was one in which nearly anyone would be eligible to join a credit union.
John saw the opportunity, and he and his staff worked hard, and before you knew it, we pretty much had open field of memberships in this state.
I think once we started talking about it, everyone understood that it was a smart thing to do, from the regulatory community to the legislative community that needed to bless it, and of course the credit unions embraced it in Washington.
Open membership here in the state of Washington has been just a tremendous boom. First off, it just makes it a lot easier to understand who can belong to a credit union, and that really has made a big difference.
And once that door was opened, there would be others. John wasn't satisfied until the operating environment became so favorable for Washington credit unions, it was called the Disneyland of charters.
The state of Washington has the best charter in the nation, bar none. We'll put our charter up against anybody.
So it's his ideas where he would sometimes be a thorn in some people's side, but in order to move forward with some of those great ideas, that was John's style.
At the state charter level, he's had a great influence. Certainly some of the most advanced in the country are on the West Coast, and John influenced it in all 3 states.
On John's watch, Washington governors wore out ink pens signing legislation that made it possible for credit unions to offer world-class services to their members. You only have to visit the Wall of Wins at the association office to see the evidence. He built a powerhouse government affairs team that has been nationally recognized. One of the senior staff members who worked at John's side the entire time is Stacy Augustine. She can easily and truthfully rattle off a long list of reasons John's going to miss her.
Number 4 on the list of reasons that John Annaloro is going to miss me when you are retired is because without me, there will be no one to secretly research issues, to give you the ammo to go into ACUL meetings and lob hand grenades into those meetings. You know you're going to miss that.
The powerhouse took on new clout in January 2011 when the trade associations representing credit unions in Washington and Oregon merged.
The industry, the association, the bringing together of this, the 2 state organizations was a huge feat that had been worked on for decades, literally. John was able to have all the stars aligned and to pull this off.
When John came into the Washington credit union scene a little over 15 years ago, there were about 2 million credit union members with assets of $11.7 billion. Today, the Northwest Credit Union Association represents most of the credit unions in Washington and Oregon. And John can be proud of the fact that those credit unions have more than 4 million members with assets of over $49 billion. While those consumers may never know how John's efforts have helped them to build their wealth, credit union leaders know and appreciate it.
Once you take on the assignment of CEO, that whole bit about being lonely at the top is true.
John's gift was the ability to give that shoulder, that guidance, and that navigation through some of the most difficult times for either individual institutions and or through economic times.
What he told me in his 2 things, he said, don't cuss and don't cry.
Well, I cry and I cuss.
I would never have envisioned when I was elected to the board of directors that someday I would be the chairman. And John encouraged me to reach for that and try for that.
You know, I've had a lot of high-level positions. And I've always learned that being as nice as you can and doing the most you can, not the least you can get away with, is probably the best management practice.
He's got to be a great guy because he's got a great wife, and great, guys don't have great wives unless they're pretty good guys too. So thanks for Ruth Ann for going through all this.
The professional friendships are real, and they are national and global. And I'm united with people across the country who share a common concern and pride in this industry, who know they're working for something clean and green and healthy and wholesome. We have a social mission as well as a financial mission, and keeping that embodied in the credit union system of tomorrow is really important.
John Annaloro's legacy will long benefit consumers and credit unions. His career is the stuff of which storybooks are made. And in fact, the California-Nevada Leagues wrote the book about John.
If I Ran the League by Dr. Goose, to avoid the copyright. There are some pretty good credit unions up in Washington State. I know because I've been there, particularly of late. The folks who run them are just the best, a really great crowd. They stand out from the rest.